You're not one of us anymore, my dad wrote. Don't show your face here again. I didn't argue. I just closed my end of the escrow, notified the trust officer of my withdrawal, and filed the legal separation from our shared assets. By sunrise, my sister texted, "What did you do?" I just laughed. Then my mom's attorney sent, "We need to talk today." Without thinking twice, I didn't feel angry when I read it. I didn't feel sad either. It was something else. Like a light switch flipped off in my chest. The message came through at 9:47 p.m. I had just put the kids to bed and sat down on the couch, finally ready to eat something. The takeout was still warm in its box, but I never opened it. I saw the notification light up my phone. It was my dad. "You're not one of us anymore." That was it. No. Hey. No. We need to talk. Just 6 words that hit with the weight of a court ruling. I stared at it, expecting something more to follow. Maybe an explanation. Maybe even a joke, sick as that would have been. Nothing. He'd sent it, read the moment it was delivered, and then gone offline. I put the phone down, stood up, and just walked around the house for a bit. No destination. I just couldn't sit. My stomach wasn't in knots. My chest didn't hurt. It was more like a click, something settling into place after years of rattling in the wrong socket. 2 days before that, Jessica had called me asking if I could help with her next tuition payment. She was in her second year of an MBA program at Columbia and had already burned through the family fund. I didn't say no. I just told her it was getting hard for me right now. My business was expanding, payroll had doubled, and I had to float a huge shipment delay that nearly tanked our cash flow for the quarter. I didn't even go into details. I just said it was tight. She didn't ask questions. She didn't offer to find another solution. She just said, "Okay," and hung up. That was Tuesday. Thursday night, my dad told me I wasn't part of the family anymore. Friday morning, I found the letter. It was slid through the mail slot like a pizza menu, printed on plain white paper, no envelope. "Don't show your face here again." It was shorter than the message. Even colder. The ink hadn't fully dried when I unfolded it, like it had been rushed. I read it once. Then again. Then I went to the kitchen, poured myself coffee, and started going through the numbers. First thing I did was close my end of the escrow. Everything we had tied up in long-term development deals, gone. I signed off my share, detached my name from the business filings, and forwarded the formal release to the escrow attorney. Next was the trust. My dad loved to brag that we were a family bound by structure. He always said it like a threat. I emailed the trust officer, attached my withdrawal paperwork, and requested removal from all collective financial holdings, assets, and decision-making rights. By 3 p.m. he replied, "Are you sure you want to do this?" I didn't answer. I just sent back the notarized PDF. I filed the legal separation from every joint entity before dinner. That included the house in Tahoe, the downtown office they used rent-free, and the shell company I'd quietly let them funnel their mistakes through. At 5:08 the next morning, Jessica woke me up with a message. "What did you do?" I stared at it in bed, in the dark, and laughed. Not because it was funny, but because for the first time in years, it felt like I could finally breathe without asking permission. At 8:17 a.m., an email from my mom's attorney landed in my inbox. "We need to talk today." So I drove over. No heads up. Just walked in. He looked like he hadn't had his coffee yet. His tone was smooth, but his hands gave him away, shuffling papers too quickly, glancing at a screen that probably had a dozen red flag alerts from their bank. He asked if I'd consider putting a hold on the separation. Said things were moving too fast. That maybe emotions were high. I told him there was nothing emotional about this. My involvement ended when they made it clear I was just a resource, not a person. What they didn't understand, what they never even thought about, was that nearly everything they relied on came through me. Not just money. Structure. Access. My dad's landscaping supply business? Funded by my private credit line. He never would have gotten the loan with his own name after that IRS mess 10 years ago. Jessica's school? Paid through extensions tied to my business's collateral. She never knew that. My mom's nonprofit? Survived on monthly auto deposits she probably thought came from family holdings. They didn't. They came from me. Quietly. Automatically. The first time I said it was hard, they cut me out. So now I'm cutting them off. I walked out of the lawyer's office without shaking his hand. He didn't stop me. Just said, "Please don't make any more decisions until we talk again." I didn't promise him anything, because the decisions had already been made. They just didn't know what those decisions were going to cost them yet. By Monday morning, the cracks started showing. Jessica was the first. She blew up my phone before 8 a.m. Calls, messages, voice notes. One text stood out more than the rest. "What did you do? My account's frozen. I can't even transfer rent. Fix it." I stared at it for a minute before putting my phone down. There was nothing to fix. Not anymore. Her apartment in Manhattan wasn't cheap. I knew that because I'd co-signed the lease 2 years ago when she decided living on campus was too depressing. The monthly wire from my personal account always hit on the 25th. Not this month. The transfer rule had been deleted along with every other scheduled payout connected to me. At 11:12 a.m., I got a call from Greenspine's bank, Wells Fargo Commercial Division. A woman named Melissa asked if I was confirming the new status of the company card. I told her yes. She paused and asked if I wanted to notify the other cardholders. I told her no. They'd find out soon enough. See, Greenspine wasn't my dad's company in the ways he thought it was. He'd been the founder. But the business loan? My signature. The vendor accounts? Set up through my network. The corporate credit? All under my credit umbrella. When he booted me out, he forgot the paperwork still said otherwise. At 1 p.m., Jessica tried again. The tone had changed. She wasn't shouting anymore. Just typing faster. "Okay, just tell me what I need to do. I need access back. Please." I didn't reply. She never asked me once, in all these years, how I was managing to keep up. She never asked what toll it took. Every time I hesitated, she made it personal, said I didn't care about her future. When I said I couldn't help this time, they didn't ask what was going on. They just erased me. Now they were realizing I was the system they depended on, not just a plug in it. By 3 p.m., my mom's attorney called again. He wasn't composed this time. He asked if I'd be willing to sign a temporary freeze reversal, just to buy time to stabilize the trust. I told him no. He asked what it would take to negotiate. I told him he was too late. My phone buzzed again at 4:30 p.m. A one-line email from my dad. "Fix this now." No greeting. No explanation. Just that. It felt like a strange reversal of roles, like he was the one begging now, but still didn't know how. He used to call me the quiet one, because I didn't argue. I just worked. Made things happen. I think he thought that silence meant loyalty. That I'd always be around. But it was never loyalty. It was restraint. And that's different. By nightfall, the family group chat was dead. Not even my mom posted her usual end-of-day photo of the dinner table. That quiet used to bother me, made me feel like I was on the outside of something I kept paying to be part of. But this time, the silence felt earned. I didn't belong in that group anymore. Not because they pushed me out, but because I had finally walked away. And for the first time, I didn't feel guilty. I felt free. By Tuesday, it wasn't just frozen accounts anymore, it was collapse. Jessica finally called from a different number. I picked up out of pure curiosity. She didn't even say hello. "You froze Mom's charity account," she said. "They called her in the middle of a board meeting. She didn't even know it was under your name." I didn't answer. She kept talking. Said I was being cruel. Said I was punishing people who loved me. I waited for her to say one honest thing. Just one. But it never came. The only reason my mom's nonprofit ever passed compliance was because I gave them my firm's auditing team for free. The reason they had a functioning website, donor pipeline, even electricity, me. Monthly funding disguised as family support. They thought the money came from a joint trust. It didn't. It came from my business account, every first Monday of the month. That stopped too. By noon, my mom finally called. Not to ask if I was okay. Not to talk about what happened. Just to say, "I know you're upset, but you're destroying everything we've built." That word, "we," hit different. She meant what I built. And I think somewhere in the back of her mind she knew that. She just couldn't say it out loud. An hour later, her attorney emailed again. Subject line: "Urgent, Request to cease all action. He asked if I'd consider a temporary pause on any further changes. Said things were spiraling and they needed time to respond. I didn't reply. Because there was no pause when they told me I didn't belong. There was no hesitation when they sent that message. No warning when they wrote that letter. They cut me off without asking a single question. So now I was doing the same, with precision. That afternoon, I contacted the accountant. Told him to finalize the reallocation of shared properties. Everything under the family holding company was split, and my share was cashed out. They'd keep the Tahoe house, but lose the Denver flat. They'd keep the warehouse, but not the leasing rights. My dad wouldn't know what hit him until his delivery routes started getting turned away for non-payment. At 6 p.m., I got a call from my old friend Marcus, who does contract fulfillment. He said my dad had just called, confused and frantic, because his vendors were refusing new orders. Did something happen? Marcus asked. He said the payment channels were down. I told him they weren't down. They were gone. By that night, it was quiet again. Except this time, I knew exactly what they were doing, sitting in their separate houses, on their separate phones, calling lawyers, accountants, board members, trying to figure out how this happened so fast. And the answer was simple. It didn't happen fast. It happened the second they told me I wasn't one of them. Wednesday morning started strange. I woke up to silence. No new emails from my mom's attorney, no text from Jessica, nothing from my dad. For a second, I thought maybe they'd finally given up. Maybe the chaos had pushed them into some kind of stunned retreat. Then my assistant forwarded me a flag notification from our old shared cloud storage account. An attempt had been made at 3:19 a.m. to reset the admin password using one of my old backup emails. An email only 3 people ever had access to, me, my dad, and the trust officer. I checked the IP log. It was Jessica's address. So now they were trying to dig their way back in. The thing was, I'd already migrated everything to new infrastructure. Cleaned servers. Segmented permissions. But I hadn't deleted the old system yet, because there was one thing left in there, a folder I'd labeled Frostline. It was a quiet insurance policy. Copies of contracts, financial records, and internal memos that no one thought I had. Things they'd done in my name, under the table, years ago. Things that wouldn't look great to the IRS or the licensing board. They probably thought they could get in, delete it, pretend none of it ever existed. Instead, they triggered the auto-lockdown. Jessica called 5 minutes later, voice sharp, demanding to know what Frostline meant. She said she didn't open it, that she just saw the name. But I knew her. She wouldn't have called unless she saw something that made her panic. I hung up without answering. At noon, I got a text from the trust officer, first contact since the initial withdrawal. It just said, "We should talk. In person." I agreed to meet him at his office downtown. He looked exhausted. Said the family had called 3 emergency meetings, each one more chaotic than the last. My dad was apparently on the verge of liquidating a chunk of his business to cover payroll. My mom had 2 board members resign from her nonprofit after seeing the frozen funds. Jessica had already tried applying for a private loan and been denied. Then he looked at me and said something I didn't expect. "She tried to blame you for the charity's audit issues." I blinked. He nodded. "Said you controlled the books? That you were hiding things. But you weren't, were you?" I told him no. I wasn't hiding anything. I was just done cleaning up their messes. Then he surprised me again. He handed me a small black flash drive. "This is from your grandfather's archive. He left it with the trust a few years before he died. Said it was for the one who walks away first. I think that's you." I didn't say anything. I just took it. Back at home, I plugged it into my offline machine. It contained one folder, a series of scanned letters. Personal ones. Letters from my grandfather to my father, to my mother, and to me. He'd seen it all coming. The control. The entitlement. The slow financial drain. And in the final letter, addressed to me by name, he wrote, "If you're reading this, you've already made the hard choice. Don't let them back in. Not again. Not even once." I sat there for a long time after that. The man had been gone for almost 6 years. And he still understood me better than anyone in that family ever had. So I followed his advice. And by nightfall, I made one final move. I transferred ownership of the only remaining family assets still partially in my name, the vacation house in Carmel, to a private holding company. One that I controlled. My parents used it every spring. I changed the locks. Sent the deed transfer confirmation directly to their inboxes. At 8:07 p.m., my mom called for the first time all week. I let it ring. Thursday started quiet, almost too quiet. No emails. No texts. No new voicemails. Just stillness, like they'd collectively decided to hold their breath. Then, around 10:30 a.m., the doorbell rang. I wasn't expecting anyone, but I already knew who it was before I checked. My mom stood outside with a bakery box in her hands. No coat, no purse. Just the box and that familiar, practiced smile she wore whenever she wanted something but didn't want to ask for it directly. I didn't open the door. I just watched from behind the curtain as she stood there for nearly 5 minutes without knocking. At one point, she looked at the door like she expected it to open on its own. Then she set the box down gently, smoothed her sweater, and walked back to her car. Inside were 2 blueberry muffins from that overpriced place she never used to care for, until I bought her a gift card there 2 birthdays ago. Tucked beneath the lid was a note. "Let's talk. We miss you." I didn't even bring the box inside. I threw it straight into the outside trash. By lunchtime, Jessica had switched tactics. She sent an email, longer than anything she'd ever written me before. She said she'd been stressed, that we all said things we regretted, that none of them thought things would go this far. She mentioned family memories, things we did as kids, how she missed having me around. But what stood out wasn't what she said, it was what she didn't. No mention of that first message from Dad. No apology. Just a soft rewrite of the facts, like we'd all been swept up in a misunderstanding and somehow I was also to blame. At 2:50 p.m., a notification popped up from the Carmel Properties smart lock system. Someone had tried to unlock the gate with an expired code. The last 4 digits were my dad's birthday. They were testing, seeing if they still had access. They didn't. At 4 p.m., my dad finally broke his silence. Not with an email or a call, but an old-school voicemail from a number I didn't recognize. "Son," he started, and then nothing for a few seconds. I could hear a faint echo, like he was walking around a room. "We didn't mean for it to go this way. Your mother and I, we were angry. We thought you were turning your back on us. But this isn't what we wanted." The message ended before he said anything meaningful. I didn't delete it. I just saved it. Like evidence. That evening, I sat in the kitchen going through restructuring paperwork. My wife sat across from me, quietly feeding our youngest. After a while, she looked up and asked if I was sure, really sure, about going through with the final round of lockouts. I nodded. It wasn't revenge. It was recognition. I wasn't destroying anything. I was revealing it. Then, at 7:40 p.m., my lawyer called. He sounded amused, like he didn't quite believe what he was reading. "They filed a claim on the Carmel house," he said. "Your mom submitted a handwritten note from 5 years ago, claiming you said they could use it whenever they wanted." I remembered that note. I'd scribbled it on a sticky during Thanksgiving one year. It was more of a joke. They were trying to say that meant ownership. "They're getting desperate," he added. I told him to proceed with the countermotion. I wanted every last shared interest dissolved. Not paused. Not discussed. Dissolved. The funny part? They thought this was about a house, or some frozen bank accounts. But the real damage was already done. Not to me, to them. Because the longer this went on, the more people started asking questions. That night, I got a message from Lisa, my cousin. The one who always stayed quiet, always watched from a distance. She wrote, "Jessica's losing it. Your mom's trying to act like nothing's happening. Your dad hasn't come out of his office all day. People are starting to notice. What's going on?" I sent her back one line. "They wanted me gone. They just didn't expect me to take everything with me. Because that's what happened. They pushed me out like I was some burden. They forgot I was the reason the whole machine still worked. Now the machine was breaking down. And they were starting to realize there was no getting it back. It ended the way these things always do, too late, too quiet." The doorbell rang at 6:34 p.m. on a Sunday. I opened it without checking the camera because I already knew. My dad stood there, holding a large plastic tub full of old photo albums. He looked different. Not older, not frail, just unfamiliar. Like someone who'd been demoted in his own story and hadn't figured out how to rewrite it yet. He didn't say my name. He just nodded toward the tub. Your mother wanted you to have these. I didn't say anything. He waited. The air between us felt strange. Tense, but not in a dangerous way. Like he was standing in the wrong line and knew it, but didn't want to move. I stepped back and let him place the tub down. I didn't invite him in. He didn't ask. Before he turned to leave, he said one more thing. We don't expect anything. Just thought maybe you'd want to see them again. Then he left. Inside the tub were thick albums, peeling pages sticky with time. Childhood trips to Yellowstone. Me holding Jessica in a pool when she was 3. My mom in oversized sunglasses, laughing in the sun. All of it felt like a museum now. Pictures of people who had once played the roles well, but had long since stopped believing in them. Over the next few days, the calls slowed. The emails softened. Even Jessica's tone changed. She sent a carefully worded message saying she understood I needed space and that things got out of hand. She didn't apologize, exactly. Just hinted at regret like it was a coupon she wasn't sure she wanted to use. But I didn't write back. I was done meeting people halfway when they were the ones who burned the bridge. My mom started sending gifts for the kids, books, puzzles, small notes tucked inside with phrases like, "Thinking of you all," and "Miss my grandbabies." She never used their names. She never asked to see them. It was like she was trying to build something, but didn't know how to start without a blueprint. My cousin Lisa visited one afternoon. Brought coffee and sat on the porch with me. She said the rest of the family was buzzing. My parents were acting different. Your mom won't stop talking about your daughter's birthday next month. She's planning like she's still invited. She wasn't. I told Lisa the truth. That I didn't care if they changed. I didn't care if they sent gifts or played nice or pretended to understand. What mattered was what happened the moment I said it was hard, just hard, and they told me I wasn't one of them anymore. You don't come back from that. Not really. The court finalized everything that week. The trust dissolution. Property separation. The final clean cuts through the mess we used to call shared ownership. Their attorney didn't fight it anymore. He just signed off and moved on. Probably tired of pretending they still had leverage. The Carmel house was officially mine. The businesses were fully separated. My dad had to liquidate part of Greenspine to cover back pay for his employees. My mom's nonprofit closed its main office and switched to remote operations. Jessica downgraded to a studio and started hinting on social media that she was learning to live simpler. Every door they once walked through to reach me, financial, legal, emotional, was gone. Locked. Disconnected. They started showing up anyway. Uninvited visits. Not often, but just enough. Dropping off toys. Leaving handmade cards. Smiling too hard. One time, my mom offered to babysit while my wife and I were getting ready to go out. I told her no. She smiled and said, "Of course, I understand." Like she didn't. And the worst part? Everyone else started turning on me. Distant relatives called and said I should be more forgiving. "They're trying, Nathan. Don't punish them forever." Even Lisa looked uneasy when I told her my kids didn't know who their grandparents were. But here's the thing. They made a choice. They told me I wasn't part of them anymore. I didn't scream. I didn't beg. I didn't argue. I just listened. And then I accepted it. Now, they want me to forget it all because the fallout scared them. Because their hands are empty. But I remember what it looked like when their hands were full and they were still reaching for more. So now, when they visit, I let them knock. I open the door. I thank them for the gift. I say the kids are busy. I never let them in. They come in through the visitor's entrance now. They don't sit at the table. They don't stay long. They leave with the same smiles they used to wear when they were lying to my face. And me? I finally sleep. No more late-night transfers. No more guilt texts. No more debt wrapped in love. Just peace. And that's worth more than any inheritance they ever thought they could offer me.